Okay. Welcome to Sundays with Oma and Mean Eva.
Right.
What are we listening to today?
Well, first I'd like to say I finally watched our second one from last week.
You shouldn't do that.
I had to. I did it this morning. I finally watched it and touched my face too much. I wasn't as embarrassed of myself as I was in the first one.
That's good.
I learned a lot about myself watching myself.
I don't like to look at it. I do the editing, but once it's...
I actually felt better about it last week than the first one. But one thing, what I got out of it the most is that I touched my face.
Well, I rewatched that first one and realized that I interrupt you constantly. So I tried really hard last week to not do that.
I don't even notice. I didn't notice. I did try to watch that first one and I couldn't. It was like, oh, that's me. I don't want to see me.
See me.
Okay. And this is probably leftover from last week. Oh, no, this is from this week, but it's probably left over from every week.
Okay.
Well, I just wrote, because I was quickly writing it as I was leaving, assumption. If you didn't vote for Biddy, you love Maggie. Because of the comment someone said about someone else, because they didn't vote for Blue, they said, oh, I didn't know they were red.
Do you think you can't say presidential nominee names on YouTube?
No, everything, I don't know. But you know what I'm saying is,
yeah.
Somebody said that if, I didn't know they didn't vote for Biden.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were
Republican.
No, I didn't know they were conservative or Republican or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like you can make that assumption. Well, of course,
I feel like I've been told that. Well, because of the mask thing.
Why do you have to?
My feelings on coronavirus have lumped me into that.
Which I don't believe.
I didn't know you were conservative.
I'm not.
Me either. I didn't know that either.
This is something I tried looking up today, and I couldn't find the answer on the web. Was when you were a little kid, Gilligan's Island came on every afternoon at 4 o'clock, and your dad loved it. And I have to admit, I loved it from my childhood too.
Love it so much.
Even though I've seen them all trillions of times,
So
even
good.
at that point. One of my most memorable episodes is, and I couldn't find it.
You're right, Skipper.
Yes.
You're right too.
Skipper and the professor were bickering back and forth about some major thing, and every time one of them would say something, Gilligan, which should I not say all this?
No.
Okay.
What?
And the skipper would say, Skipper would say something.
I'll put a little clip on
and Gilligan would say, "You're right, Skipper." And then the professor would say, "But Skipper, don't you know that blah, 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 blah?" And Gilligan would say, "You're right, Professor." And then the skipper would say, "But Gilligan, blah, 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 blah." And he'd say,
Yes.
"Right, Skipper."
Yes.
And finally, Skipper says, "Gilligan, we can't both be right." And he went, "Skipper, you're right." And that's kind of where we've come to.
Yeah.
That scene from Gilligan's Island is where our world is now.
Except nobody says you're right. Everybody only says you're wrong. I mean, we say you're
Everybody's right if everybody's wrong.
Well, okay, I will say one thing that I took from the last video, and then we should move on. Last week is dead and gone. But I went into this long ramble about applying for that Amazon job, but I didn't go into the actual point why I was talking about that, which is unemployment is sending all of the unemployment recipients to major corporations. And I just read an article on the news, major mainstream news, about all these people not getting their unemployment claims that filed way back in March, and people like me that have gotten it but have run out of options. Now it's just like, oh, you're still unemployed because of the government? Well, sorry. Maybe you should apply at Amazon.
And here's the ad for Amazon right here.
And I suspect that the day is a-coming that Amazon will provide housing for its employees, school for the employees' children. They will have entertainment available. They will have a grocery store that's, of course, owned by... Go ahead. Just like China, a whole little Amazon village.
That's exactly what the Oppenheimer Ranch project video today was about. that I have been
Amazon will be the first one to do it, I suspect, but there will be others after that.
because drones are going to be. Oh, you got to watch this. It's 15 minutes of. Oh my god.
Well, are we going to listen to it here together?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
let's do it.
But maybe we should say what it is while you're getting it together, because I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Is it available on YouTube?
Yes. And I forgot to add this to my list of things we should hook up with on our little site because I haven't gotten anything from them in a long time. And I don't know why, but I got this today.
Oh, that's a little bit there.
And I'm very glad I did because it reminded me of them.
Now's the time for a great...
Wait, and the name of it just came in 10 hours ago. It's called The Great Reset, a primer to total control of the world population, and it kicked me hard when I listened to it.
Lovely.
Because this is like everything. It just explains everything for me. Of course, I know there's people, things that are so obvious to us, and people like him. There's somebody right around the corner that would be so appalled and want to have you committed.
It's true. And also, everybody has been trained now whenever they feel any threat from a theory about the world and the state of things that causes them to feel uneasy, they say, oh, well, that's misinformation.
And
It's misinformation. That's a conspiracy theory.
this also, when I watched this video this morning, that's when I went back and watched last week's episode that I hadn't watched yet, because that's what what we were talking about in last week's video is pretty much what's going on here. But let's just watch this video.
Okay.
Now is the time for a great reset, according to the globalists. The Great Reset is a globalist
I'm not really sure what globalist means.
and they incited it based on COVID-19. Now, the Great Reset came about because of the pandemic of COVID-19. There is an urgent need for global stakeholders to cooperate in simultaneously managing the direct consequences of the pandemic. Now, this all began during the Great Depression of 1920 and 21. The Council of Foreign Relations was created in the U.S. and the UN worldwide. And the Great Reset is simply an iteration of that idea. It was a proposal by the World Economic Forum to rebuild the economy sustainably following the COVID-19 pandemic, which is actually not a pandemic, but will actually reset the world. And this is all coming from the same plans that we've been saturated with for a decade, called Agenda 2030.
Everybody should look this
Now,
stuff
the Council on Foreign
Agenda
Relations is
2030.
no different than the UN, is no different than the Bilderbergs, is no different than the elites. They control the world since 1500. And the
Really
Great
don't like the
Reset
word
is
elite.
simply an iteration of Agenda 2030 based on the pandemic that they incited and they are perpetuating now by lying to you directly in your face. And for some background, let's just begin with the Great Reset and what it's all about.
Time for an advertisement.
Is it?
No, maybe not. But it's coming, I guarantee.
Okay, you can put this stuff in. No? Like, nobody can see it, but it doesn't matter.
No, I can bleep it in.
I'm no tech, so I can't help.
Our challenges are greater. I do appreciate all this stuff, but it is a little bit propaganda-y.
This?
I mean, it's not that I disagree with it. It's just a little zeitgeist propaganda style.
That's what
you
he's
know?
showing. It's not his stuff. He's just showing it.
Now, the irony here is that, quite simply, let's just move that into the space. The irony in what you just saw is that those landfills, that toxic waste, the destruction of the planet, has all been happening because of multinational corporations killing our biosphere. Now, I used to be a liberal Democrat, But I couldn't be further from that these days.
That's
I'm a
what I was
realist.
getting to.
I'm a humanist and I'm an
Last
independent.
week.
I don't believe in politics. It's a scam for the masses.
Yes, it is.
But
That's
what's
true.
not a scam is the fact that multinational corporations now rule the world. Since the passing of Citizens United in 1989, the government systems in the U.S. have been corrupted. And they've been corrupted from day one. But the point is now that the powers that be, which are the billionaires and the trillionaire class, the elites, Bill
Rich
Gates
people.
and his cronies, are now forcing vaccines to make you comply, to kill the God particle in your body, to crush your pituitary gland using an RNA replicase vaccines. And no one knows what they even are. And so this is for the greater good. We've all seen this in the movies. And it's a dystopian world that you now live in. And irregardless of what happens, if Trump actually wins in the Supreme Court and Biden gets taken out of his current position as president-elect, well, the civil wars will begin. And where will you be?
Tipton County. By golly.
We want to stop there.
Sure.
Keep going.
It's up to you.
We're not even halfway into it.
We'll stop halfway.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go through this next little sector and then we can stop. Maybe come back to it next week.
Where's all the sound?
He doesn't put any in. It's just images. That's why nobody can see it. But you'll have to do that.
I'll do some editing on this one.
Yeah, there's no sound.
That's okay. There's more words coming though, right?
Yeah.
Join us.
What an absolute joke. Now, here's the brass tacks. This video that we just showed you from the World Economic Forum is what they've replaced from the original video. Now, the original video has been taken down from their website and almost every social media site, but we are going to entertain you tonight with the 1 minute and 33-second original video that was on the website that is so telling and chilling, it may make you vomit. I apologize in advance for showing you this, but it needs to be seen by everyone.
If we do this, will it give us a sign? Oh yeah. You'll own nothing and be happy. And you'll be happy.
Fuck that, I own shit.
Whatever you want, you'll rent and it'll be delivered by a drone.
I'll shoot those drones
The
down.
US won't be the world's leading superpower. A handful of countries will dominate. You won't die waiting for an organ donor. You won't transplant organs, we'll print new ones instead. Oh my. You'll eat much less meat. Occasional treat, not a staple, for the good of the environment and for our health. Billion people will be displaced by climate change. Okay, yeah. We'll have to do a better job in welcoming and integrating refugees. Doubt that will ever happen. Polluters will have to pay to emit carbon dioxide. There will be a global price on carbon. This will help make fossil fuels history. You could be preparing to go to Mars. Scientists will have worked out how to keep you healthy in space. Start of a journey to find alien life.
Now, I want to draw your attention to the beginning of this video. You will own nothing and be happy.
It's very disturbed.
That is the lead-off sentence. And they removed it. The World Economic Forum removed it from the website. It was up for 3 years. This is disgusting. Moreover,
What does that one say?
whatever you want,
No.
you'll rent, and it will be delivered by drone.
Who owns it then?
How insane is that?
The government, I guess. Amazon, the big companies.
I think that many of these drones will be stolen, shot down, and destroyed. It's absolutely
We'll probably have little guns
fantasy
attached.
world
Um,
Have you
they
seen
haven't really.
remember that? I talked about this last week. That movie. It's like a future dystopian movie where they're trying to shoot down the drones, and it's like a big deal when they can get them
Mm-hmm.
because the drones are still delivering shit, even though it's not even. They're not controlled so much by anybody either. They're just still delivering.
Did you see that video on YouTube that Virgil, my 6-year-old son, was watching? It was a compilation of drones with firepower.
Mm-mm.
They spray gasoline and then ignite it, and they were using them to. I'll have to look it up.
Oh,
They
I
were
did.
using them to like kill beehives up in trees and shit.
I saw it from the other room. I saw that.
It's pretty spooky.
Yeah.
Pretty spooky looking. He
I
thought it was incredible, but
Oh, he's a 6-year-old little boy. Boy.
boy. Well, I've seen that video before. Oh, they're gonna touch my face.
Yeah.
Well, I have, I was on the Amazon bandwagon there for a little while because it was pretty damn convenient in the beginning where everything was closed back in March, and it was like, well, shit, I've got all this money. The Amazon will just bring it to me. I'm just going to start ordering stuff so I can make my house a palace since we can't go anywhere. Guess I wasn't the only one.
And you had your income tax and your big...
Don't make me feel bad about it, okay?
I'm not, you are.
I know, I feel bad, but
I feel bad.
But I feel a lot better because after seeing the Amazon hub, I shall not be doing that anymore. No more Amazon purchases for me. No, no, no.
So here's something I wrote down after watching that video. There are hippies in the woods who are not liberals, and this is them.
Yeah.
They're amazing people.
Yeah.
I think everybody should go and watch. All 6 people that watch this that are all in our family. They should all go.
Got that 8 subscribers?
They should go. We should have at least 12. That's how many came to Thanksgiving.
That's true.
But so,
Yeah. Yeah. Who's slacking off on the
who's
list?
not watching our videos?
You start counting significant others, too. That number just grows and grows. We got some people slacking in our little community. Don't they want to hear us talk?
Like, they haven't heard us enough.
That's a disturbing video.
I'd like to say something also about this. This is the end of the flower of the roses because the freeze is coming tonight.
I hear roses have started getting coronavirus, too. So they probably won't ever grow again. Mom, the microphone is just
I know it was a
really going
I
through.
was trying to make it feel like I
Through a lot
got
there.
corona. Missed out.
Well, the only place anybody can get a job right now, all of the displaced workers, the only place that is hiring displaced workers is corporate.
Actually, they're putting in a big beer distributorship, beer making facility in this area. It's supposed to hire people from like 10 states, and the start out pay is like $45 an hour. It's a huge deal. They're putting it in they're putting one. They're going to turn everybody into an alcoholic. What they're going to do, but they're putting in 172 of these beer making facilities, and they're going to make everybody work there. It's Corona.
My.
That was bad humor.
Well, somebody's going to have to make
Beer,
the Soma, Isn't that what they called it in Brave New World?
What do they call it?
Soma.
Soma.
Well, it's disturbing. It's disturbing that it almost got me because I'm pretty out there artistically. But for me to get desperate enough to start looking at corporate jobs, that's something. That's really something out there, But imagine if, and last week I lost my purpose in talking about it, but looking for a house, looking for a job, looking for childcare, looking for school, well, one company could fill all of those roles.
That's right. Your transportation, they could fill
Groceries,
your groceries.
entertainment. It's all right there.
Many years ago, at least 20, maybe 30, used to cater a lot, and I catered this meeting, and it was for board members, I think, for the local utilities, and it was downtown, and we just had a little throw out spread of food for after
my
it.
timer. Yeah.
But there was this group of people talking to the shareholders, which wouldn't we be the shareholders and should have been told about this meeting? But their whole thing was like 20 years down the line, their goal was 20, 30 years away, to be able to put these smart meters in houses, and you would pay for the amount of electricity you wanted, like it was a credit card. You didn't have to put deposits down. It made it so much easier for people to get electricity, because if you could only afford $5.63 worth of power, you would
not use your air conditioner unit.
Well, yeah, you would
save it
you
for the
could
microwave.
put that $5 in on a card. You'd have to put it on a card.
Prepay utilities.
Yes, prepaid utilities. That was the word I was looking for. I bet that's coming soon too.
Well, something's going to have to damn happen with utilities, because you got all these unemployed people and all these kids doing school at home. What the hell's supposed to happen? How's that supposed to work?
Yeah, and how are all these kids? It's one thing the moms that didn't go to work during the day anyway, but now
What about the poor people?
what about the poor people who's schooling their kids?
Who's staying home with them?
Well, not all of them.
Is the YMCA supposed to just take in all of the kids that
Maybe
the public schools
so.
have booted out?
Maybe so. You know, I met this woman in Amsterdam at the Airbnb. What was it called?
Hostel.
At a youth hostel. God, 20 years ago. She was from China, and she was studying the hostel system, and she had started with Amsterdam. She was going to stay there like a month and travel around and look at different hostels, because the city in China she was from was going to do that. And we were basically the same age. She was younger than me, but she had like a 6-year-old kid, her and her husband, and you know, you could only have one kid. She had this kid, and when she was off work like 3 or 4 days when the kid was born, and then the state facility took care of her kid. And
While she worked.
basically during the week, the state kept the kid, and then on the weekends they got to get the kid. And
Spend the night there and everything?
yeah, because it just made it easier for everyone to get to work if you don't have to deal with outside things. So even though it was their kid, the state basically raised their kid, and that kid was, you know, in like 1st or 2nd grade at this point. And she was gone for 6 months. And she's like, oh, it'd be fine. His dad will see him on the weekends. It's so bizarre to me. But I could see that happening. I could see the state taking possession of children so the parents could work for Amazon.
Well, right now I keep hearing people say there's a child care crisis. And I keep hearing politicians say that they're going to tackle the child care crisis. But the crisis is not a child care crisis. The crisis is a lockdown crisis. It's not, you know? And when I hear people in that capacity talking about how they're going to fix the child care crisis, my mind does wander to that sort of scenario. I guess that's why I'm homeschooling. Can you not shake that microphone, please?
I'm sorry, I was peeling up.
Yeah. It's a scary thing.
Did we talk about Charles Kos? K-O-S? I told you about him in the beginning, but we weren't recording yet.
Yeah, tell me.
He's another person that I'm subscribed to on YouTube, but I hardly ever get his videos, but I got one today. And it was about the Star of Bethlehem.
Oh, yeah.
Did we talk about that, or is that before
we did, but I wasn't in full listening mode, so let's pretend like we didn't.
Well, I want to research it further, but he was saying that we're about to encounter the Star of Bethlehem again.
Now, what does that mean?
The Star of Bethlehem, when Jesus was born, and
is it actually a star up in the sky that comes around every so often, and it's real bright?
And the wise men followed the star, and well, we didn't raise you in church, so anyway, the wise men followed the star and found Jesus in a manger. That's the story. Anyway, that star, the conjunction that it is in, that whole little, doesn't happen very often. He said it was once in a millennia's greatest conjunction.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it's a big deal conjunction.
Once in a millennia.
And it has been feared throughout history every time its approach has come viewable to Earth. And it was actually what King Harold had all the, babies killed because that star, but all sorts of craziness has gone on because that star was approaching, and it was like a doom and gloom scenario for that star's presentation.
Weird.
I'd like to read more about it.
Yeah, that would be a nice blog post.
Yeah, I never
I'm
heard.
going to get you blogging, Mom.
I don't even know what it means.
I'll get you set up.
Okay, that's everything I took notes on.
Well, that's good. Very nice. Well,
What else we want to talk about?
on a personal note,
Yes?
I would just like to talk about moving
Okay.
and how funny it is that some people never move their whole life. Well, they're born in a house. They stay in the house until they graduate high school. Then they go to college. Maybe they come back to the house. But, then they move off and then buy their own house. And then they stay in that house until they're old. And moving is not something that many people, really even many people participate in themselves. Like, most normal people, when they move, they hire people. They might pack their own boxes that they buy from U-Haul, but they hire people to move their boxes in a truck, and then it's delivered, and then they unpack, and it's all just this neat, ordered, expensive affair. Boy, it's not like that for us.
No, I birthed my own moving company.
It's a lot more like a Broadway show for us, actually.
It is.
Pack it all up, make sure everything has wheels, doors locking, tape all the drawers down.
We move a lot and always have. We've tried to live off the excess of the system more so than in the system, which requires a little bit of
It's just getting harder and harder.
wiggling,
Harder and harder.
especially in the lockdown form.
Well, it's just hard.
But, yeah. Did
If-
you hate that you moved a lot as a kid?
No, I didn't mind it. I mean, I missed houses when we moved away from
Well,
them.
I did too, but
But, the missing of the old house is often replaced by the excitement of the new one, as long as the new house doesn't really suck.
right.
And I don't have any specific memories of the new house sucking more than the old house, but I'm sure it's
Well, that
happened.
one that the bathtub's all backed up.
Yeah, but the neighborhood was great for bicycle riding,
Oh,
and we had that
neighborhood
incredible
was
magnolia tree. So
fantastic.
even though all the sewage came up in the bathtub drains,
It was still.
I enjoyed living
It was
there.
like a 2-acre lot in the middle of town.
That's fun.
It
Yeah.
was fun. It was
So-
like a wilderness.
It's just funny, it does draw attention to. Every time I move, my attention is drawn to the fact that there are just not a lot of people like us in terms of that, because most people like us own their houses, and that way they can continue on with their life of unprovable income and artistic endeavors and scraping by financially. But renting and doing that is just so hard because you can't prove your income to a renting company. In fact, I wouldn't want to rent from a company anyway, because most rental companies are kind of out to scam you.
Well, and also
Somehow or another.
something that always irritated my dad when y'all were kids, and we did move a lot. Roy was getting a PhD, and I was a stay-home homeschooling mom. And he said, "You do all this work on other people's property, and then you move after 2 or 3 years."
It's true.
But
Just losing money.
oh my God, what I learned to do on other people's property. I learned how to install fences. I planted huge, beautiful gardens. I made box gardens. I made raised bed gardens. I grew all
Just
sorts
like
of
a
stuff.
Broadway show. You set up for a few weeks, you get real comfortable, you put your setup, get all your props laid out, get the costumes out, wardrobe.
I built greenhouses.
Pack it all back up.
Learned how to mess with concrete and bricks. Could repair a house with duct tape.
I know, me too.
I know.
But it sucks. It sucks
And
moving.
I took
Moving
great
sucks.
pride in everything everywhere we lived, and even now, this house I live in now, it's actually a squatting circumstance.
It's not.
Well,
Squatters don't have permission.
well, that's true. But I don't have a kitchen. I've just filled it in with my camping stuff and other stuff. I have basically a plug-in.
It's kitchen-like.
It's kitchen.
You have a refrigerator.
I made it kitchen-like. There's a refrigerator. I have to get water out of the bathtub to do dishes, but it's no big deal. I have to be careful because the first time I dumped my dirty dishwater in the toilet, a spoon went in, and I was terrified.
Oh.
Actually, I'm
Did it flush?
No, that's a weird little crook, and I got online about it and everything.
Did it go down?
Apparently so. I worried about it for about a month, and then I told Richard, and he said, well, it must have gone down if it hadn't clogged up. But I still expect it to clog up because I know that spoon's still in there.
It's there somewhere, surely. How can it not be? And somewhere in the line, there's probably roots and all sorts of shit.
There has to be a spoon in there.
Well, that's all. I guess I'm going to talk about this until the 1st when I move.
Okay, good.
Not the 1st of December, but the 1st of January. And hopefully I'll move.
I hope so. God, you'll have to stay in that disgusting place. It's only disgusting because,
What disgusting place?
your house. It's not. Well, it's become disgusting because of the landlord.
Well, yesterday I packed up all of my collection of leather purses, and probably a dozen of them were completely covered in mold.
Ooh.
Mold.
You got to get out of there.
I know.
That's disgusting.
Well, I think we're reaching the end of our time limit. Do you feel comfortable about what we've talked about today?
Great. I feel good.
We'll put some links on the website. The website is thebrewerfoundation.com.
And did I say this every time, the reason we call it that?
Go ahead.
Because Roy used to always say, we always had answering machines in before we had kids. Roy would always put weird messages on our answering machine, and one of them was, Brewer Foundation speaking. It was on there for years. It's like, what do people think when they hear that?
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. But it lives on through
Here we are.
through the internet. The Brewer Foundation lives.
Oh my God. All right. Well, until next week.
Okay, I love you.
I'm leaving right now.